or what was Minecraft's first mutant? Was it a mob? Could it have been a tree? Could it have been a bow? Well, today we're gonna find that out because Lordcraft uploaded the story of Minecraft's first mutant. What do you guys think it is? I think it's gonna be a creeper, to be honest. Because creepers, we all love creepers, right? Creepers are like a symbol of the game. Without creepers, there's no creeping, you know? Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think, okay? Let me know who's gonna be Minecraft's first mutant. Well, without further ado, let's get right into the video.
Everyone knows of the enigmatic Enderman, one of Minecraft's few neutral mobs, and the only one that's capable of moving blocks.
Yo, hold on. Is that gonna be the first mutant mob? Let me find out. How's he gonna look? Is he gonna look crazy? Is he gonna look jacked? How's he gonna look, y'all?
But did you know that their heartbreaking history gave rise to a far deadlier mob?
That's not it.
This is the story of Minecraft's first mutant.
Nah, no
Hurry,
way.
keep your heads down and run for the cave. Maverick ducked below yet another wither skull as it shot past him. The ancient builder's experiment had had disastrous consequences. They'd been attempting to better understand the souls trapped in the sand of the Nether, believing it to be the key to unending life. Instead, it would be their downfall. In the weeks following its creation,
I knew it. They accidentally made it,
and ravaged the Overworld, swiftly killing builders and wild animals in droves.
Not the little wolf.
And now it had arrived at Maverick's town. Despite his best efforts, many of his people had already fallen victim to the monstrosity, valiantly attempting to fight it rather than retreating. He ushered the survivors toward a cave, hoping it would offer some protection from the Wither's explosive attacks. Turning back, he scanned the town for a way to distract the man-made abomination. His eyes lit up and he sprinted towards the stables, setting the frightened horses free.
He climbed the top one
and hurried back towards his people. The builders had quickly learned that their creation was driven to kill everything that breathed. So while the Wither was busy with the horses, Maverick and his people made their escape. Far beneath the surface, he led them towards a top-secret build that had been underway for several months. This was supposed to be a research facility, but we'll make it into a stronghold if we must. He regretted every secret he had to keep from his people, and was relieved to be able to share the truth with them. The orders had come from headquarters just that morning. In the event that the Wither threatened any builder establishment, they were to stand down.
Hold on, what does that say? In the event that the Wither threatens any builder establishment, your orders are stand down, do not engage with the creature. Retreat to the nearest end research facility. These structures will be referred to as strongholds. What? So they knowingly summoned the Wither. And they didn't tell the people. That's insane. Wow. They basically set themselves up. They knew it was gonna happen. That's why they did this. Come on, builders. What? My goodness.
And retreat to the nearest end research facility. Only a select few builders were authorized to engage the Wither, but none of Maverick's people were among the elite fighters like Steve. He then explained why the structure had been built in secrecy.
That's why they're called builders,
not fighters,
right? After discovering the
ancient magic contained within the Eyes of Ender, a small, distant group of builders dedicated their lives to developing the technology to unlock it. Upon succeeding with the invention of the end portal frame, the designs were quietly passed to the leaders of each builder establishment for construction. They were under strict orders not to activate these dormant portals until further research had been completed at headquarters. However, their plans to venture to the unknown dimension were accelerated with the birth of the Wither. The leaders at headquarters decided that these research facilities served as the perfect hideout bunkers, complete with backdoor escape routes should the need arise. With luck, we won't have to activate the portal, but I know your brave hearts will persevere if we do. As the days passed, Maverick's people quickly adapted to life in the stronghold. He made the short journey above ground frequently, hoping each time that the Wither had left, and returning with the news that it had not. After a week in hiding, supplies began to dwindle, and the people grew restless and hungry. Though he discouraged them from leaving the stronghold, Maverick led a very strong-willed people. A particularly stubborn young man decided to journey to the surface to find food, and to see for himself whether the Wither was still there.
He's gonna get caught.
A short while later, the sound of explosions grew louder, and Maverick stood up in alarm as the rebellious builder burst into the stronghold.
It saw me. I didn't know what to do. I'm sorry. It's coming.
Pulling the Eyes of Ender from his pocket, Maverick strode towards the end portal. Without wasting a moment, the people followed him closely. fleeing from the explosions that grew
Y'all better
closer
go
and
through that
closer.
portal now.
He placed an eye in each end portal frame, taking the careful
Nice.
steps he'd rehearsed in his mind 100 times. As the last eye slid into place, the shimmering portal opened with a resonant sound
I'd be
unlike
scared to
anything
go
they'd
in
heard
there.
before.
Imagine
I know
jumping
you're
in.
scared,
Would you guys
but
be
this is the
scared?
toughest group of people I've ever met. Whatever's through this portal, we can handle it together. Now go!
Yes, sir.
Explosions shot bits of rock at the group as they hesitantly moved forward.
Hustle, hustle,
After the last of his
hustle.
people had
Oh,
jumped
you
through
gotta
the portal,
go.
Maverick turned to the Wither, then stepped through.
Nice, come on.
Heralding their arrival, an eerie sound reverberated around them
Oh, the
as they
Ender
beheld
Dragon.
a foreign and alien world. The captivating void of starlight surrounding them contended with the dull yellow
They're gonna
endstone at their
die.
feet. A
There's
low
only 8 of
roar
them.
echoed towards them as the large leathery wings of the Ender Dragon launched it high into the sky above the intruders to this realm. Astutely, Maverick was the first to observe that there was no portal to return back home through. Shock and dismay spread amongst the ensemble of humans. They were trapped. The builders had not embarked through the portal prepared for battle, and the menacing dragon circling overhead made
No,
them
no,
lose
no.
heart. Maverick
No.
roused the group, coaxing the confidence he knew they each had. They did not come here to give up at the first sign of adversity.
Oh, my
Under his
days.
leadership,
No.
they engaged
They
in a
don't know how to
chaotic
fight
battle
it.
with the flying monstrosity. The builders fired their arrows and swung their swords as the beast dived down, picking them off one by one. Devastating fireballs were spat into the builders' ranks, tearing through their defenses.
Don't die,
This is
guys.
hopeless.
No.
It's like it's not taking any damage at all.
It's the crystals atop the towers. They're healing it.
Nice,
We
nice.
have to destroy those first. The
Has anybody
realization
died?
had come too late. The builders' numbers had dwindled, and their arrow supply had plummeted. They had lost, and were now imprisoned, the newest subjects of the dragon's realm. Sensing their submission, the dragon banished them to the distant corners of the end. This endless space was cold and lonely, stretching onward in a mind-numbing expanse. As they settled into their new location, some began to
chorus
accept the
fruit,
reality
yo.
of their situation. They consoled themselves with the fact that at least they were alive. Others, like Maverick, were outraged with how easily they had given up. They had lost everything, yet even the most stubborn were forced to simply make do with what they had. True to their name, it wasn't long before the ancient builders had built towering structures, the End Cities, to house them in this vacant place. With the passing of time, their creativity eroded away. The limited block.
Wait a minute. They're the reason there's end cities in the end. Because they were there already. Wow. That's nuts, yo. That's insane. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that? Nah, don't tell me y'all knew that. There's no way. What? That's
selection bored
crazy.
them. The tools they carried lost their uses, and soon were left forgotten in chests hidden away in the numerous edifices they built. Their limited food dwindled,
That's
and it
why
wasn't
there's
long
loot.
before they were faced with the hunger crisis. Nothing could be farmed in this barren void despite their
Man.
best efforts. Desperate, they resorted to eating the strange bulbous plants they had encountered. The bizarre purple chorus fruits became their sole sustenance. Maverick and the others noticed changes within themselves soon after. An
His eyes went
evolution had begun
purple.
within them. The humans inexplicably grew taller, making it easier to reach the fruit that grew on such spindly trunks.
Yo,
As their muscles
what?
elongated, they noticed that they responded differently to the chorus fruit. Each bite was more likely to force their limbs into overdrive than the last. Although they were unable to control where they ended up, the humans recognized
they
this new
gonna become
ability as a
Endermen?
form of teleportation.
This is incredible! We're going to be superhuman before you know it!
Maverick was less thrilled about these developments in his body. His legs could no longer fit into his old set of armored leggings, and his hands lacked the strength to grip a sword as tightly as they used to. Soon, he wasn't even able to open his own chests.
What?
These changes didn't stop him from attempting to fight the dragon and win his people's freedom.
Oh, they're plotting
On
something,
the rare
guys.
occasions that a chorus fruit launched him toward the dragon's island,
Uh-oh.
he tried his best to destroy the end crystals, with increasingly pitiful results.
Oh, he's gotta be
Each
careful.
time,
Those
he was
hurt.
transported back home by his seemingly invulnerable foe. Eventually, the dragon grew a distaste for the lanky, troublesome creatures that lived in her realm. When it became clear that
The
Maverick was
Enderman?
unable to defeat her in his current state, he set about finding a way to reverse the transformations that his body had undergone. Nearly at the point of madness, He collected every substance he could get his hands on, including leftover eyes of Ender from their arrival in this world. Using a cauldron,
man.
furnace, and crafting table yielded nothing helpful. In fact, though he wasn't aware of it, his contact with the Eye of Ender accelerated his transformation. Despite all his efforts,
He's gonna
Maverick
be an
was the
Enderman.
first human to fully transform into an Enderman.
Oh my days.
Oh God! I take it back!
Maverick's people gathered around
They're
him,
gonna be
filled
scared.
with curiosity and sympathy. As he stared back at them, the looks on their faces broke his heart. His brave, strong clan had been reduced to a group of scared, mutating people who no longer identified with their leader. Maverick tried to speak reassuringly to them, but his mouth was unable to form the words.
No.
One by one, the people completed their transformations as well, their minds becoming trapped within
They'll be
bodies
able to
that couldn't
communicate now, right?
or fight. All that was
What?
left of their former lives was the ability to move blocks. The Endermen found that they were able to control their teleportation, but it wasn't any consolation. Being face to face with other Endermen reminded them that they'd become monsters, so they refused to look each other in the eye. Over time, it became a part of their culture, resulting in eye contact causing extreme distress. Maverick watched as
That's
his
why they
people
don't
grew
like
more
being looked
disconnected
at.
from each other, unable to communicate, each in their own individual purgatory. All he could do to help them was move blocks. Although many of them had accepted their fates as Endermen, Maverick never lost sight of his goals. He had a singular ambition:
Nice.
to strike down the Ender Dragon and return his people to their former lives. Despite this, Maverick had accepted that he wouldn't be the one to defeat her. Someone far
What?
stronger than himself came
Steve?
to mind. One of the leaders of the Builders Guild.
Yo, Steve!
Maverick, like a man possessed, trained his teleportation abilities to the limit. He could feel it. The
How's he
scenes
gonna get
between
back?
this realm and the Overworld. Other Endermen who hadn't lost their determination started to follow
Let's
him,
go.
training alongside him. With a monumental effort that nearly ripped him apart, Maverick managed to teleport himself and his followers back to the Overworld.
Now they
Their
just gotta figure
celebration
out how
was
to
drowned out
communicate.
by the feeling of melancholy, as they were no longer the same as when they had left,
Poor
just as
dudes.
alien as the realm they had been imprisoned in. The Endermen that returned would go on to live in the Overworld permanently as sentries, one day monitoring players with the hopes that they may eventually defeat the Ender Dragon and free the End. Maverick did not have the patience to wait for such a circumstance, and embarked
Oh,
to find
man.
Steve, who was once their champion. With his abilities, it did not take long to find the traces of the current Builders Guild, and
That's a
after
beautiful
monitoring them from a
castle. Y'all seen
distance,
that?
he finally came
Sheesh.
face to face with Steve.
Steve, it's me, Maverick. You have to help us. You have to kill the Ender
He's not gonna
Stay
understand.
back, monster. Don't make me hurt you.
Oh.
Unable to communicate with him, Maverick let out a frustrated roar. Unfortunately, Steve took this as provocation and began to fight. Maverick tried his best to avoid Steve's attacks, not wanting to hurt him, but Steve was known as their champion for a reason.
Nah, arrows can't hit him.
Potions splashed, and an enchanted blade threatened to cut Maverick's life short. Wanting to push Steve away, Maverick
Nice.
hurled a block from nearby at him. He wasn't able to ponder his new ability for
Just
long,
teleport
as
away,
it only
man.
served to further provoke Steve. Maverick grew angry that they couldn't communicate. He teleported far away to
Nice.
avoid accidentally retaliating against his former ally and idol.
That
Steve looked
sucks.
around after his adversary vanished, curious about the creature that he'd never seen before. After accomplishing so little, Maverick felt disheartened. It was time to put his backup plan into action. While he had access to far more resources in
What's
the
he gonna
Overworld
do?
than the End, Maverick was no expert in magic. He decided to find a witch who could heal him, so he could return to his people with food and
Yo,
potions. He was willing to try
what?
anything to restore their bodies, which would give them a fighting chance against the Ender Dragon.
What have we here?
She's gonna make him a mutant.
You don't belong in this dimension, do you, dearie?
After hours of arcane translation work, the witch finally understood his request. Unfortunately, she informed him that what he asked was beyond her abilities. The only thing that she was able to do for him was enhance what the End had transformed him into, making him stronger
man.
and improving his magical abilities.
witch has got
Maverick
that
fumbled with
formula.
the potion that she handed him, hung his head, and left. The last thing he wanted was to be even further removed from his humanity, so he refused to drink the potion. After persisting for so long, Maverick finally felt his spirit
He's
break.
gonna drink it,
He
guys.
guided his people to a dimension that transformed them into monsters, then abandoned them in an attempt to save them, but had failed at every turn.
My thing is, why didn't he just run to Steve's palace? I'm sure Steve could have defeated it, you know? Especially if he's the #1 fighter. Oh, man.
As the last of his hope drained away, he heard an ominous but all too familiar noise.
The Wither.
Explosions echoed across the field.
Oh, there
and he
it
saw the
is.
Wither approach, continuing its destructive journey across the overworld.
It's almost poetic that I'll be killed by the creature that started this whole mess.
Maverick made no attempt to flee as the Wither drew closer.
the piggy
He stood
run.
still, waiting for a sense of calm to wash over him. But it never did. A Wither skull struck him, and then another, and Maverick realized that he couldn't die before making
Teleport,
things right for his
teleport.
people. He retrieved the witch's potion and gulped it down. As the Wither drew closer, Maverick transformed. A new set of arms sprouted from his shoulders. He grew
arms are
even taller, and his
huge.
face split open to reveal a grisly purple mouth. Unfazed, the Wither launched another volley of skulls towards him, but this time, Maverick created several clones of himself. Taking advantage of his attacker's
What?
confusion, he teleported far out of its reach. He relished in his new powers, feeling the seams between the overworld and every dimension it touched.
Perhaps the witch's gift wasn't so useless after all.
Maverick sensed his destination and teleported once more. Appearing in the center of the obsidian columns,
Oh my
he searched the
days.
ethereal sky for his opponent. She announced herself with a deafening roar, and Maverick leapt into action. He swiftly teleported to the top of a column and threw himself onto the end crystal. Its explosion threw him back unexpectedly, but he teleported to
man.
the safety
Nice.
of the
Caught
ground below.
himself. Let's go.
As the Ender Dragon launched fireballs, she looked quizzically at the new form her subject had taken. It was the first time that any of her crystals had been destroyed, and she recognized that this
man, you
creature was
better
to be
watch
taken
out.
seriously. Maverick easily dodged the projectiles. Pulling pale yellow blocks out of the ground, he launched them towards the dragon and the remaining end crystals. One more crystal
Yo,
exploded, and
that's
Maverick felt a
nuts.
tingling of hope, but he had underestimated the dragon's power. She swooped lower, preparing to
needs
land.
help.
He pulled air into his lungs, instinctively releasing an earth-shaking scream. The dragon felt a wave of nausea and turned to face her disobedient subject, disgusted with his persistent rebellion
man.
against her.
This is your last warning. Do not come here again or your people will suffer.
Maverick was banished from the Dragon's Island for the last time. As he reappeared among his fellow former builders,
They're gonna be
he knew
scared.
that he couldn't put them in danger. He, like the rest of them, would wait for a hero to free the end.
Steve? Wow, it ended on a cliffhanger. I hope Lordcraft makes a continuation because I want to know what happened. Did they escape? Actually, they probably didn't because they're still Endermen, you know? Wow, that's sad. They got to get used to a world they never knew. All because of the guy that built the Wither. Shaking my head. I'm telling you. If they would have gone to Steve, I think Steve would have handled it. I think, you know, because Steve is Steve, you know? That lava chicken, you know? Yeah. What do you guys think? Enderman was the first mutant mob. Is it valid? I honestly thought it was going to be a creeper. But I guess it was an Enderman. Now imagine fighting an Enderman like that. How would that be? You think they have like the same amount of hearts as the Warden? Ooh, maybe there's a mutant Enderman versus the Warden. I think we're gonna look into that. Let's check that out on the next one, alright? Well, y'all, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you for tuning in and stay tuned for the next one. Hopefully there is an animation like that, because that's gonna be interesting. But y'all, stay safe out there, stay blessed, and have a great day, alright? I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.